We've got a really good start with some historical drilling, already identifying a strong porphyry copper gold target. Well, we went in there 2 summers ago and came out with really strong gold samples, up to 48 grams per ton. Like we've done a number of surveys in the past, a lot of prospecting, geochemistry, magnetic studies. If there's any interest amongst some of your investors to participate in our financing, please reach out.
We're happy to go down to a fairly small level, I suppose $2,000.
All right, today we're having a chat with Anthony Balme, the chairman, and Rick Mazur, of course, the director of Alton Resources. And first, a word to you, Anthony. Perhaps you can take us along. What is really Alton Resources all about?
Alton Resources is a, I suppose, relatively early stage exploration company focused on copper and gold very importantly, in northern British Columbia, which is a great hunting ground for these metals and one where there are a good many mines and exploration projects. Although early stage, it's had quite a lot of money spent on it already by various parties. It's had got drilling results indicating presence of porphyry copper and quite a number of high-grade gold showings. So it's just a great opportunity with the rising gold market to establish a viable project there with further exploration work.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dive into that geological prospectivity with Rick in just a second. But Anthony, you're currently just a $1 million market cap company, right?
1 million Canadian is the approximate market cap at the moment. So if you compare that with other players in the area, it's very small. Exploration companies are sometimes capitalized up to 100 million. And of course, a lot of majors there as well, like Teck, Newmont, etc. But you can't really compare us with that at this stage.
No, of course, but it's truly a high risk, high reward potential scenario. So let's dive into that geology with Rick. Please take us along. What is really this all about?
Yeah, so we're in a very prolific porphyry copper gold belt in really central British Columbia. It's called the Quesnel terrain, and geologically, as you can see from this map here, at the south you have the Mount Milligan mine at the end of the belt, and then in the north you have the Chemes mine. Mount Milligan is in production by Centerra Gold. Chemes is under development by Centerra Gold. The Hawk property is in the center of this belt, completely surrounded by Northwest Copper. Northwest Copper is another junior explorer. What's their market cap at now, Anthony? It's about 30 to 40 million. They have the Lorraine Historical Copper Project, which is very similar geologically to what we're looking at the Hawk. I think what's really sparked interest in the area, Stein, is the A-Mark discovery. Just to the north of the Chemes mine. They got some terrific results after many years of exploration for copper gold porphyry there. 147 meters of over 2 grams of gold and close to 0.7% copper. And that's really sparked interest in exploration again in this area. So it's time that we get drilling at Hawk. We've done a number of surveys in the past. A lot of prospecting, geochemistry, magnetic studies, surveys, some ground geophysical work. Just need to do a little bit more to bring it up to a drill stage, and that's the game plan for Alton. What's important, Stein, about all these deposits is these are what we call copper porphyry deposits, but in British Columbia they tend to be gold rich.
Yeah, there's some very exciting neurology here. Of course, you referenced those two mines that are sandwiching you, one in production, one in development stage. 5 million ounces at the one and a million ounces plus at the other one. Also, that discovery you highlighted, if you look at the thickness and the grades, that's 350 gram meters, a metric of the grade times the depth that you're finding it at, or the intercept at least. 50 is seen as high, 100 is phenomenal, and 250 is outstanding. So this is a truly prolific area. Perhaps we can now talk about what you're really planning to do with this project and what has already been done at the Hawk project specifically.
The dark lines there, that's our property. That's our claim group. We have about 16 mineral claims that are all in good standing. There's 2 target areas on this property. There's the porphyry copper gold target, which was initially discovered back in the 1970s by Amoco, which was a very large oil company. Initial results there were about 36 meters of 0.4% copper and some other really good intercepts, but they never analyzed for gold. At that time, didn't really understand that these porphyries were strong in gold. The work we've done on the porphyry copper gold target in the past, as I mentioned, some good geochemical studies, which has expanded the size of the target area. A lot of good magnetic data, which helps determine where these deposits occur. In 2021, we did an IP survey in the western area of this target and came up with a very, very strong anomaly. So we do want to do a little bit more work this summer, expand that IP. IP is a geophysical tool. Expand that IP anomaly in the western end of the target, which is giving us the size potential that we think this thing has. So that's what we're going to be doing at the porphyry copper gold target, and get it ready for drilling. Now, over in the Lone Wolf gold target area, we staked that after a geochemical survey was released by the BC Geological Survey. We jumped on the claim staking on a stream sediment survey there that outlined a strong gold target. Well, we went in there 2 summers ago and came out with some really, really strong gold samples, up to 48 grams per ton. Like, that's really good. And it's never really been identified or prospected in the past. It's a brand new discovery. So we want to get back in there this summer, do a little bit more work on that. And with these 2 targets, we think we'll have 2 viable drill targets to drill in the future.
Great. Thanks for taking us along there, Rick. And these 2 targets should really be seen as 2 independent systems, independent of each other, that you're targeting.
Absolutely. A large porphyry copper gold target there. That's, as you can see from the scale at the bottom of the map there, it's about 5 kilometers east-west. And then the Lone Wolf gold target area, actually, we have to expand that circle, because in the northwest, what we did was we did a hyperspectral satellite survey, and we've identified a number of areas on that property that show the kind of alteration that you'd expect to see with gold deposits. And one of the jobs this summer will be to go in there and prospect and sample in those areas and see if there's more gold on the property.
Yeah, great overview there, Rick. Thank you. Perhaps you can also, you already started hinting at it, but perhaps you can take us along on what the pathway from this point onwards to a potential discovery could look like for Alton Resources.
Yeah, so the game plan is to do a little bit more work this summer to really refine our targets. The plan is to go public and raise funding for a drill program in 2026. I would like to see something like 3,000 meters of drilling minimum on this on the porphyry copper gold target. Past historical drilling has been very shallow, not deep. We think there's a ton of potential there. And then who knows what we're going to find at the Lone Wolf. We want to get into the area where we have already discovered up to 48 grams per ton gold. We'll evaluate that prospect this summer with the financing that we're undertaking at this point in time. I'm sure that there's going to be some drill targets that come out of that as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's an exciting prospect right there. And Anthony, perhaps you can take us along what type of value creation could be unlocked here with that geological exploration program upcoming.
Well, there is fairly immense upside if we are lucky enough to strike some good assay results on the gold and copper. So as you can see, I mean, if you go further north, where in the Tulagon region, these companies have been rather successful in the last 6 months, and now 1 or 2 of them are now worth $100 million. Obviously, you've got to raise some money to get there and do the drilling, which is dilutive. The upside is really very substantial.
Of course, I think we have a good picture of what geological potential is here. There's definitely some smoke with your surface grab samples of 48 grams a ton gold, truly outstanding. Also with the work that has already been done previously on your project. And now it's about refining where the smoke truly is to try to delineate some targets to find if there's actually some fire, which is of course a discovery.
We're a discovery company. So $1 million market cap, once we get drilling there, obviously, with some good drill results, that's where the money is made, is during that discovery stage. You know, we've got a really good start with some historical drilling, already identifying a strong porphyry copper gold target. In my view, yeah, it certainly has the potential to be, a major copper gold porphyry deposit with further exploration work.
Well, I was just going to say, obviously, you've got to be reasonably bullish on copper and gold as an investor, because that's the attraction here. There's enormous leverage on gold should the gold price go on rising. And in British Columbia, it's a good jurisdiction. People are becoming quite wary of jurisdiction nowadays.
Yeah, Anthony, perhaps you can take us along. Why are you saying that this is a good jurisdiction? I agree, by the way, but just curious to hear why you would say so.
Well, there's the rule of law. You have the challenge of making sure you keep good relationships with the First Nations. But we've had some contact in the past, and they've cooperated. And it's really, when you get drilling, that you've got to make sure you keep them on side. A lot of major mines have been built there, and a lot of work going on there. So it is supported by the majors. So I think it's fair to say Canada is a good jurisdiction.
I have to say that northern British Columbia, there's been a lot of mine development, as Anthony said, by major companies, and a lot of money is pouring into northern British Columbia, not only into the Quesnel terrain here for copper, gold, porphyry targets, but in the Golden Triangle as well. Investors are very confident, I think, that exploration work can go underway in northern BC, and that mines can be developed.
Yeah, 100%, gentlemen. Thank you for taking us along there as well. Of course, you already outlined this. You are currently raising the capital for this exploration program upcoming, and perhaps you can take us along roughly how that's looking like, how much capital you're trying to raise, and also where that capital is going to.
Well, we're looking to raise $400,000 to $500,000, a minimum of $250,000 to go into the ground, and some more money for taking the company public. So that'll pop the market cap up to about 1.3, 1.4.
Yeah, as this budget shows, this summer, what we'd like to do is get a geological team out there and a prospecting team, which I'm working on right now, putting together. Hopefully, get those guys out in the bush at the end of this month, early July, and get the prospecting, sampling, geological work done, and then sometime through the summer, get that IP, that induced polarization geophysical crew out there to do some further geophysics, primarily on the western side of the copper gold porphyry target. That's the game plan for this summer. And this work, I believe, will refine these targets and define drill targets for 2026.
And Anthony, you referenced something exciting there, of course. This is currently a pre-IPO company, and you have a go public strategy. Perhaps you can take us along how that could potentially look like for a potential investor.
Well, I suppose potential investors have some advantage that when we do IPO, which will probably be through a reverse takeover, we'll do it at a significant premium to the current capital price. We would plan to have that done within the next 6 months. So get all the corporate stuff done by the end of the winter and be ready to drill next summer. Drilling season probably starts sort of towards the end of May.
Great, gentlemen. Of course, you are trying to raise capital. Perhaps you can also explain to the viewers at home, if they're interested, how they can reach out to potentially participate.
So Stein, if there's any interest amongst some of your investors to participate in our financing, please reach out to Anthony or I. Our email and phone numbers are up on the screen there now. I'm in Canada, Vancouver, Canada. That's my Canadian phone number. And Anthony is in London, England. He can be reached for any of your European investors.
All right. And perhaps we can also touch base on the minimum investment requirements. What are you roughly looking like before someone can participate?
Well, we're happy to go down to a fairly small level, I suppose $2,000. One target we have is to increase our share register, which helps on the stock market in Canada, where you're supposed to have a minimum number of investors. At the moment, we have about 30.
All right, gentlemen. I think we have a great first overview of Alton Resources, a very exciting point in the company's journey, pre-IPO, with an exploration campaign upcoming.
Thanks for letting us share our excitement for this project, and hopefully some of your investors might participate in our future success.